All right, everybody, welcome to episode 193 of the Follow-tonians. Eric here in Overland Park, Kansas, Ped in Old Swan, Liverpool, and I mean it's going to be hard to call this show anything other than the WTFTH.
What now?
WTF
Okay.
TH.
As you're writing it, I'm spelling it just to see what it says.
You know what WTF is?
I'm joking with you.
And who on the squad's initials is TH?
Thomas.
Hitzelsperger is not on the squad anymore.
Okay.
Sorry. The hammer has left the building. And unfortunately, so has Tim Howard's skills.
Let's leave Tim Howard for now. Let's beat him.
Okay.
Let's beat him up later. There's plenty of time to beat Tim Howard up. Let's leave it till later. Because people will be switching off in droves.
As if they...
The cult of Tim Howard.
Well, just quick explanation. Not that one's needed for the gross absence. The gross absence of the Follow-tonian podcast. There's been some life events that have taken place in my master bathroom, specifically, to where I've pretty much had to gut my entire master bathroom to the studs, and my waking hours of
I thought you were gonna say your waters broke then.
Yeah. My water burst, and I'm having a new bathroom.
Yay!
No, not yay. It needed remodeled, probably in about 10 years.
Okay. So basically, when we were supposed to record, Eric didn't show up because he was too busy refitting his bathroom. That's fine. That's cool. We can just get on with the show now. No one needs to know any more information.
Okay, sounds good.
He wasn't digging any patios or anything.
So thank goodness for the Europa League.
Because, go on.
Because all of a sudden we actually look like a team that has some mettle and some skill and some heart and some fight and some finishing boots.
Well, this is the thing. I thought this was going to be a really, really positive podcast where we talk about probably the best performance of the season, and then we go on from that and start talking about the Leicester game and how we've triumphed over Leicester and how everything looks positive and rosy and we move on with the rest of the season. And again, Everton kick us in the nuts, don't they? They come out with, as I say, probably the most complete performance of the season against Young Boys.
And away,
and they got on artificial turf, and we're all told we
in a stadium called Wankdorf.
On the Wankdorf Stadium, and we're all told it's an impossible game, and and we go and win there. We go and win there very convincingly, and then we come back, play at home, and it's just
the bottom of the league.
Yeah, and it's utter crap, and this is Everton's season in a nutshell, and it's just horrible. It's Jekyll and Hyde performances, and I don't get it. I simply don't get it. But what I don't get about the whole thing, before we go into it, is why we change, why we make it Jekyll and Hyde, why we go from being a very positive team that starts a game in the Europa League on the front foot, goes straight for the jugular, goes a goal behind, but then keeps going, and the positivity keeps building and building and building to the point where we end up 4-1, where we go to a game on Sunday against the bottom of the team, and we start slow, and we let Leicester get into the game, and we allow their confidence to grow, so that when we score, they don't feel like the game is over, and they keep going because we've opened the door. And I don't understand why we do that, because surely the ball is in our court.
Yeah. So let's start with Tim Howard issue of the show number 1. Young Boy's goal. Should he have done better?
Yes,
could he have done better?
It was crap. Yes, it was rubbish. It wasn't very good. Listen, we didn't do a show after Chelsea, and all I'm going to say is every goal that we've conceded so far since Tim Howard come back, I believe is his fault, or he was partly responsible. I'm sorry if people don't agree with me. Listen, I fully understand why people love Tim Howard and why
I
they.
love Tim Howard. I think he has done an amazing job for soccer in the United States, for Everton, for the Everton USA membership, to just getting more and more people in the United States aware about Everton and in love with Everton, and realize that this is a team that they want to support.
Mm-hmm.
But
I love you, Tim Howard.
it's just not good enough.
Listen, I've said this so many times, and again, I don't want this to be like another show which is dictated by one player. But listen, I've been on the forums, I've been on the Everton USA page on Facebook, I've looked on Twitter, and it's not nice on there if you don't necessarily agree that Tim Howard isn't the greatest person in the world. Yes, people are coming round to the idea that he's past his best, but some people are clinging on to this idea that he's not somehow responsible for those goals. Now, listen, I've said this before. A goalkeeper's job is to save the ball. He may have 10 really poor players in front of him, but that doesn't matter. His job is to save the ball. And if he's making mistakes that lead to goals, then he has to be blamed, because that's what you have to do as a goalkeeper. There's different rules for goalkeepers. It's like Martinez said, you have to have a defined number one, and you have to bring him back if he's your number one. Well, fair enough. But what has happened is, since the early part of the season, is Robles has come in the team and proved that he can be a competent number one, and he didn't deserve to lose the shirt. Tim Howard's come back and he's picked up where he left, really. I mean, I was willing to say when Tim Howard come back, you've had your break now, you've refreshed, come back and impress me. And unfortunately, he's come back and just made all the same mistakes. And some people were saying, he's having a bad season, he's having a downer, he's not, it's a hangover from the World Cup. But he did have a break. He had a large break, and he's come back and he's in the same way it is. And I don't know whether it is age that caught up with him, whether he's took his eye off the ball, whether all this World Cup pandemonium's caught up with him, whether it's his home life that's caught with him. I've seen quotes saying that he's darting back and forth to America to see his kids, things like that. I don't know about things like that, but it can't help. But what I do know is we're witnessing the decline of someone who's been a pretty consistent player for us in the last 8 and 9 years, and it's sad to watch, but he has to be dealt with like any other player. I mean, you go back this time last season,
taken to the woodshed or what?
Well, we've seen it last season with John Stones when he came into the team, and you've seen him come through it. Year. And then Distan has come into has lost his place this season. There's been no crying, there's been no moaning, there's not been no bitching. Distan has just been left out, and people have said, yeah, the better players come into the team, and that's the end of it. So why does this have to be the same issue with Tim Howard? Yes, I know he's fondly loved and liked by so many, but listen, it's gone. It's gone. Listen, Roberto Martinez even said himself that in January that he was looking for a new
long-term replacement.
Yeah. It would be a long-term replacement. He tried to get Neuland from Norway. It didn't quite work out. I think he'll go back for him maybe. I don't think he obviously doesn't fancy Robles either, but I think Robles has earned the right to stay in goal for the rest of the season. And unfortunately, Martinez has got a problem now, because he had his out. He had his out. Tim Howard was injured. Robles come in and did well. That was his out. He could have easily said, right, I'm going to stick with the guy in form, but he didn't. He brought Howard back, and it's backfired massively. And now this is a big thing now for Roberto Martinez. Does he stick with him? And if he does stick with him, what's that going to do to the crowd? What is that going to say to the crowd? Because some of the crowd are just looking for that one thing. I mean, I was in the glass seat on Sunday when and fans were turning their vile on Roberto Martinez and saying, "You brought him back into the side. This is on you. We know what Tim Howard brings to the side. We've been saying it all season. This is on you. You've seen this, and this is your fault." So that is a really, really difficult thing now that Martinez has got to juggle. Listen, I don't want this to be about Tim Howard. I've said plenty about Tim Howard this season. I think the guy is past it and needs to be shown, the door in the nicest possible way. I thought January would have been the ideal time to sell him to an MLS club. I thought it suited everyone. I know I'm repeating myself, but what I don't want to do is come across as one of the people who's just like, it's all about.
I think if we could have lined up the Norwegian or possibly the guy from Cardiff, if we could have lined up a full-time replacement, there was a deal in place to offload Tim Howard, and that sounds horrible, but we needed somebody. You can't just have Robles as your only senior keeper in a side that's in Europe. That's just not feasible. But without getting somebody to come in that Martinez felt was a viable long-term option, then the only other option was to keep Howard at least through the rest of the season.
Yeah, and maybe feels that if he's had to keep him, that maybe feels like he has to keep him and he has to be the number one goalkeeper. Then if that's the case, like he owes him too much to drop him. But I'm not being funny, but we're not exactly sitting in a pretty position in the Premier League. We're sitting in a pretty precarious position. We're still not out of it. Okay, we've only lost 1 in 10, but we've only won 3 times in the last 3 months. That's very, very worrying. And if you've got a game like Leicester where we should be beating teams like Leicester very, very comfortably, but we didn't. And look, another player who Thursday night was fantastic, Lukaku, unfortunately comes to the Sunday, he can't hit a barn door. He has a lot of chances and he misses them, and rightly so. We should say he had a poor game, but at times you go a goal up. You're playing the team that are bottom of the league. You expect to go on and score more goals. You don't expect to give up 2 very, very poor goals because your goalkeeper throws them the ball and sets them up to score goals. That's the problem. Forwards can be off form, but we did score 2 goals. You don't expect us to throw in 2 goals as well, and that's the difference. You'll get games. We spoke about David Marshall all season, and we like David Marshall because last season we knew he played for a very poor side. And at times, he was the only thing that was keeping his team alive. Now that's something that you need in a goalie. De Gea at the beginning of the season, Man United are in the top 4 chasing the Champions League place, and I don't think they're a better side than we are much. But what they did early on is they rode a massive storm because their goalkeeper was saving them. You have to look at the game against us.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I just think.
All right, let's put the goalkeeper talk to bed for the show, for now, I guess, at least.
No, that's good. That's good. I don't.
Are we good? Are you sound? Ready to move on?
You can move on with the.
Because I do want to talk about Lukaku because his hat trick at Young Boys, first hat trick for the club since Louis Saha netted 4 almost 5 years ago.
Yeah.
That stat is amazing. And first and foremost, it's almost the longest drought between hat tricks for Everton in the history. I think it was short of it by a couple of months. Back in the 70s, I think, was the longest drought between hat tricks. I remember seeing that on Twitter. But it was also the first time we came from behind to win since over a year ago at home against Villa. I know people are hot and cold on Lukaku, but I thought he was amazing, and I'm really just made up for him, and very, very happy that he was able to do what he did in Switzerland.
I thought he was brilliant, and I thought we played to all his strengths. I thought we got crosses in the box. I thought we played through balls ahead of him, slipped in that he could run onto. I thought everything was geared up for Romelu Lukaku. No, that might be because of the team we were playing and because they couldn't afford to sit back and they had to come out and play. But he had a great game, and he could have scored 6 without a problem. He could have He could have scored 6. Now, the difference between that and Sunday was Sunday was very, 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 very slow. The build-up was slow. He never ever got a chance to get behind them. There was no crosses coming to the box. And when there was a cross that come into the box, he did get his head on it and he forced an own goal. He didn't have a great game. Let's be honest, he didn't have a great game. He missed some good chances. He missed one really, really good chance.
Yep.
But you know, what can you say? He did. Listen, again, people who are looking from the other way and will, you know, obviously look for everything will say, well, you know, he was just as fault as Tim Howard was. Well, fair enough, yeah, fair enough. You know, he should have scored 2 or 3 goals, but this lad is literally the only one scoring goals for us pretty much at the moment, you know,
right.
Apart from the odd goal that Naismith gets. So, you know, he worked brilliantly on Thursday, and I thought we played to all his strengths, and you just think, and this is my big gripe, why can't we play or try to play like that? Because on Thursday, okay, you're playing a team that knows it's a cup competition, that the game's got to be won. Sunday's different. Sunday's different. You're playing Leicester. You're playing the team that are going to defend deep. So why not go and pummel them? Why not try and go and pummel them and say, right, we're going to play the same way, and we're going to try and get a goal up early, and we're going to try and make it so that you've got to come and score. But we're going to keep pummeling you. We're going to play 2 up front. We're going to play 2 wingers, 2 centre midfielders, and have a real go at you. But what we did is we started slow, and which is how we've started nearly every single league game this season at home. And we invited them on, and they got chances, and they should have been ahead in this game. They had plenty of clear-cut chances first half. It wasn't like they played like West Brom where they sat deep. And what they did was they gained confidence from that. It reminded me of the Crystal Palace game where, yes, we went ahead, but we offered them hope because we allowed them so many chances early on that even when they went a goal behind, a little bit like the reverse of us in Switzerland. When we went 1-0 down in Switzerland, everyone thought, yeah, but look at the way we're playing. We're getting behind them. Just keep playing and it'll come. And I think Leicester felt the same. Even when they went 1-0 down, they looked at it and went, fine, we'll get chances. And when they got chances, they took them. And that's what needs to stop happening. We need to go and pummel teams and say to them, not only are we going to score goals, but we're not even going to give you a sniff of scoring goals. We're not going to let you have any confidence, and we're going to keep going. And I remember this time last year when we went 7 unbeaten. Martinez threw everything at them games. Them games were either going to be won or lost. He wasn't interested in draws. He was playing the fine line, and he was saying, right, we're going to go for it. And we went for it, and we won 7 on the bounce because we went for it. You know, we kept on going at teams. We had a plan, and we said we ain't going to be second best. And if we are going to be second best, we're going to throw everything at it. And at the moment, we don't. It doesn't seem like that. It just seems like, and that's why we're drawing so many games.
Yeah, last year we had the luxury of getting more points early in the season. There was no squeaky bum time of just like not knowing what the end of the season's going to bring. Right now, every point is very valuable, and so last year we had the money in the bank to be able to gamble with it and push and throw everything at it. This year we're feeding on scraps. We have not done the work early to be able to afford us to be a little bit more adventurous and in our mentality of things. So
the question is, though, Eric, can we afford not to? That's the question. Can we afford not to take those risks? Because at the moment, what we're seeing is a team in Europe who are full of confidence, who are willing to take risks because they knew that it was a small league at first, and now it's two-legged, and you've got to take your risks. And I just wish that we would take a little bit of that into the Premier League and say, you know what? When we play poor sides, we are going to get the games won early on, or at least say to the opposition, you today are going to take a beating and if you do beat us or get something out of this game, you fully deserve it. Now Leicester fully deserved the points on Sunday because they did the same to us. They came and they offered something and they took chances and they were rewarded with a point because they did take chances, but we didn't. And I know we had lots of chances in the second half, and I know that if we took our chances, we probably would have won the game clearly. But because we didn't start playing till the second half, we allowed Leicester to be in the game. And this is what I'm saying. This is the difference. If the last 15 minutes of most games this season at Goodison, we've had a real good go at teams.
Yeah.
Why aren't we doing that in the first 15 minutes? Because, let's be honest, right, Premier League teams now, they don't look any sort of... the last 15 minutes, they look almost as fit as they did in the first 15 minutes.
Yeah.
So, why aren't we going out first 15 minutes and having a go? Listen, last season, and it's horrible to bring this up, but last season, Liverpool nearly won the league because first, in all the games in the second half season, they said, right, we're getting this game finished by 3:30, basically.
Yeah. First 30 minutes of the match, they had it to bed. Yeah, definitely.
Well, I'm not saying that I'm not saying we've got an attacking lineup anywhere near as good as Liverpool last season. But what they did was they just got the games finished, and almost the other team just submitted. And then the fear then of any team going to Anfield was, oh my God, we and they panicked in the first 15 minutes, and that helped Liverpool go on and win games. And that's what I'm saying. We are just allowing teams to come to Goodison Park, get relaxed, bed in. And what it does is, as well, the crowd at Goodison then sits down and they've got nothing to cheer for, nothing to get excited. Sunday was a horrible day. It was freezing. It was wet. Everyone was drenched. Everyone got to Goodison and all he wanted to do was sit down and get warm. No one was up for singing and cheering and getting behind the team. And I know a lot of people go, oh, you've got to get behind the team, but no one felt like that. Everyone just wanted to sit down and be impressed. And Everton didn't give them the chance to be impressed. Therefore, the crowd went the other way. And the teams come and they go, well, let's quiet the crowd down. Let's stay compact. These will just pass the ball along the back. And that's the problem, as far as I'm concerned.
Let's go back to the Young Boys match, because there is one more point that I wanted to talk about, and that's the John Stones sending off.
Okay.
The tackle, he gets his arms up around the striker. James Naismith is standing right there next to him. Jagielka's on the line. I don't understand why that's a straight red.
Because it's Europe, and that's what happens in Europe. I don't know if that would be a red in the Premier League, but in Europe, referees are just a lot more fussy. And I also think the reason he probably did send him off was the minute he lost it, he had his arms wrapped around him the whole time he's in the box. First of all, he had it around his neck, and then he had it around his shoulder, and then he ended up pulling him over. Now in the Premier League, and also because it's only a one-game ban, it's almost like we're going to punish you, but the punishment's less, so therefore we're not punishing you as heavy. That's Europe for you. That's what tends to happen. But I wasn't like really kicking off of the referee for sending him off. I was kicking off at John Stones for allowing that to happen. Because John Stones,
you're up 4-1. We had just scored our fourth goal. You're up 4-1. Luckily we only got punished twice on it, but and not 3 times, because that penalty was awesomely bad.
But let's be honest. But the thing was, in the first half, John Stones had been caught a couple of times.
Yep.
Trying to play it out from the back when he could have just put his foot through it. And that's what annoyed me about that sending off, is that at 4-1, why isn't he just booting it into the stand and saying, right, come and break us down? Why is he take? And that's what I'm saying. He'll learn that with experience, but I think at times you have to learn it in the game as well, because if you've been caught a couple of times in possession, then you need to go.
Why is Jagielka not saying anything to him though? Why is Martinez not saying?
I'm sure they are. I'm sure they are off the pitch.
Why is he not listening?
Well, I'm sure he is, but at the same time, Martinez is saying to him, listen, I want you to keep doing what you're doing, but learn from the silly things. And that's why I'm saying he has to learn that during the game. He has to learn. If he's been caught a couple of times into possession, he has to learn to know when to put it in Rowe's head and when to come out at the back. John Stones is a very competent centre-back. He's great with the ball, his feet, his passing percentages are fantastic. He's a great player. He's just got to learn at times when you're 4-1 up in a two-legged cup tie, don't mess about and just kick it long and hit a corner. And that's fine. That's fine to defend like that at times. Experience will bring that. Hopefully that's sending off. We don't want him to go the other way where he's just kicking everything out from the back, because then he just becomes distant. Do you know what I mean? Then he just he becomes,
a young distant that actually can move still.
You want him to encourage him to play out from the back, but he's also got to know when the right time is just to go long. So the sending off will do him no harm. Luckily it's come to nothing. It's probably not the worst thing in the world that he doesn't play in the second leg when you think that we've got Arsenal 3 days later. So, that's one of them things to learn from.
Yep. Anything else from these two matches we care to talk about, mention? It was good to see Coleman getting forward in the young boys match, netting a goal at the back post. I thought he was really good, back to some old form. Naismith was all over the place. Oviedo played really well up until the point where he got subbed out.
I thought everyone who needed to play well played well. The fullbacks played well. Ross Barkley played well. Lukaku played well. I thought Gareth Bale was outstanding. I thought
surprisingly enough.
I thought we played really, really well, and that's what disappointed me about Sunday, because everyone who sort of played well on Thursday just had a completely almost opposite game on Sunday, and it wasn't because of fatigue. It was because everything, the way we played on Thursday suited everyone in that team on Thursday night, and the way we played on Sunday suddenly changes the way people play, and suddenly Ross Barkley's got to play left midfield, and suddenly everyone's and the fullbacks and that's what is annoying me more than anything at the moment. That Thursday, I would have just said from Thursday, play like that on Sunday. I don't care who we're playing against. I don't care it's the Premier League. I don't care that they're going to stick 10 men behind the ball, which they didn't. I don't care. What I want to see is Everton play, because that's the way Everton play when they're the best under Martinez. And too many times this season, Martinez has reverted to type and got them playing slow. And it does nothing for us, so I don't see the point in it.
Did we miss Barry on Sunday?
Possibly, because he brought Gibson on, and Gibson was fantastic. But Gibson's different from Barry because Gibson's passing is much better. But we did need that cool head in the centre of the park, and it showed. We didn't need two out-and-out centre midfielders. We didn't need two defensive centre midfielders on Sunday. It just didn't. We didn't need it. Or we could have used two centre midfielders, defensive ones, and had two out-and-out wingers and two attackers. We didn't need all them midfielders. What we need was more attack and play, and that's what annoyed me more than anything on Sunday. That the bottom of the league team came to Goodison Park, and we changed our style again. I don't understand it. Why we're not going at teams and having a right good go at them.
All right, sounds good. Break time. We'll be right back. Ready?
Yeah.
All right, we're back on Follow-tonians, brought to you by Abscess Services Limited. We got a couple of matches to talk about. One that doesn't matter at all, and another one that's very important. Which one's which, Ped?
Oh, the Arsenal game now. I mean, there's a stage in the season when you can have, give me games where you can just, you can just say, oh, we're playing a team at the top of the, we can play a team that are playing at the top of the league. This thing doesn't really matter. But at the moment, we've got to go there, and we've got to be really switched on against Arsenal. We can't afford to just say, well, it doesn't really matter now. So we've got to be up for every game now. But it's interesting. It's going to be interesting because young boys, okay, we're 4-1 up, but they're going to come and have a go, aren't they? They know, they beat Ball on Sunday 4-2 at home, so they are a good side. So we can't just dismiss it. We can't just say, oh, let's play the kids, or let's do this, or let's do that. We've got to have a real good go. I would swap a few players. I'd probably play, the likes of Garbett at left back because I thought Baines was rubbish against Leicester. I didn't think he was fit for a start. So there are a couple of changes to make. I'd probably bring Kone in as well.
Stones is out. Who comes in for Stones?
Alcaraz.
Okay. I guess we'll see Barry because he's suspended for Arsenal again.
Yeah.
You'd like Kone to come in for Lukaku?
Yeah.
Lukaku in. Just because he's scoring.
Yeah. I mean, I'd have both of them probably, maybe, but I'd definitely give Kone a run out, and I'd definitely give Garbett a run out. Obviously, Barry will probably come in anyway. He's not suspended against Arsenal, so it'll be interesting to see what he does, whether he leaves him. But maybe he'll want to put him in there, and I'm not 100% sure. But there can be a few, maybe he'll play Atsu as well. Decent cameo against Leicester, so maybe he'll play Atsu as well. He can
According to American commentators, Aaron Lennon might get a game on Thursday.
There's America for you. Listen, he can make changes without weakening the team too much. But what he can't do is just dismiss it, and he won't dismiss it because we need a win. Confidence-wise, we need another win. We need a win. I mean, we need a win at home. My God, I mean, you're talking about the first couple of weeks in December since we've had a win at home. Yeah. We need a win at home. We need to take that pressure off ourselves so much.
Right, and would a 3-0 loss be considered a win on Thursday?
No, a 3-0 loss would see Goodison dismantle itself, I think.
But we advanced.
It doesn't matter. We can't have that. We need wins. And yes, there can be changes, but there have to be changes that suit the team. Because if you've got this great squad, I mean, Gibson could maybe come in, Garber could come in, Kone could come in, and Alcaraz maybe, and then you say, right, well, there's 4 changes that are not going to weaken the team massively. If McCarthy's playing next to Gibson, maybe Naismith doesn't play the game, maybe Ross plays in his number 1 position to get him a little bit of confidence. But at the end of the day,
right?
Maybe, yeah.
Play keeper. Yeah.
Listen. That's not even a question of whether I change the keeper. Of course, I changed the keeper. But you can make 3 or 4 changes. Hopefully, not weaken the team too much. And don't forget, they've got to come. And as you just said, they've got to score 4 goals.
Yeah, they've got to score 4 goals and keep us a clean sheet, or they have to score 5 goals. They have to score a goal for each one that we score above 4.
Exactly. So there you go. So that says it all. But it doesn't mean we can take our foot off the pedal because we need a win. No. Need a win at home, and then we take that confidence and we go on to the game against Arsenal. Which Arsenal's a game where we need our 100% best team. Stones to be playing, probably Barry to be playing. To be fair. But I would say in this one we set up a little bit like we did it against Chelsea, where we possibly have holding centre midfielders, 3 holding centre midfielders, possibly. Well, obviously it won't be the same as Chelsea because McCarthy didn't start, but we have maybe 3 in centre midfield like we did against Liverpool. And then we play on the counter attack, and we try and soak that pressure up as much as we can and play on the counter attack.
So changing keeper, yeah.
Yes. Sorry to the whole United States of America, the President and the Secretary of Defense. I apologize, but this has just gone too far now for me. I'm sorry. I can't allow a goalkeeper to play himself back into form. So I'm sorry.
Not at this stage, not at this scenario, not at our club.
Well, let me ask you a question. I put this question to the Everton USA group earlier today on Facebook. And the question was, Tim
Will you
Howard's
still
end.
support Everton if Tim Howard leaves?
No, 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 no. I
That
wouldn't.
wasn't it? Oh.
No, no. My question was, Tim Howard's end game was to finish his contract at Everton and play in the World Cup in 2018 in Russia. The question was, is that still viable?
Not at Everton. I
So if
don't
that,
I don't think so.
so if that's the case, surely, because there's no way you just couldn't even dream that he's going to play 3 more years at Everton. So where does that leave him in terms of what he's going to do? Because I know he said he never wants to. He didn't want to go the MLS.
Yeah, it's a very tricky situation with Jurgen Klinsmann being the head coach of the national team. He talks out both sides of his mouth. At one time, he wants people to be get games and be competitive, and the other time, that he wants them to be in Europe and in squads learning. It's hard to tell which one he takes more credit for or more seriously between do you want to play every day or do you need to be in a good league, quote unquote good league, and he doesn't rate MLS yet, so he's trying to get all of these kids either from German sides that have American dads that they've never seen before play for the U.S. and it's just, I mean, great if they're good and they want to dedicate themselves to the U.S. national team, fine, I'm all for it. I have no problem with it. But to tell a kid that's playing in the MLS that is playing every single day that he's got to go over to Europe somewhere and maybe get a game here and there, that's what he's got to do to stay in his radar. It's just very confusing. So Tim's probably thinking, if I leave Everton, if I leave England and go back to the MLS, then does that make me automatically drop below like a Brad Guzan that's playing for a very horrible Villa side?
It does feel
it's just
feels
really.
Like it feels like he's boxed himself into a little bit of a corner, doesn't it? Do you know what I mean? He feels like he has put himself in a little bit of a corner here because he said
that's the thing about professional sports is you can have a plan as a player and say, this is what I want to happen with my career, and only can the top like 0.5% actually really do that. Only can like a Michael Jordan. I mean, even look at Tiger Woods in golf. He's injured. He's horrible lately. He can't even play to save his life. He's not even doing anything right now. 5, 6, 7 years ago, you would have never imagined that would have been the case, that Tiger Woods would have gone out like this. But it's you don't know in sports. You don't know when the next injury is going to happen. You don't know who's coming up behind you that's going to be better than you, that's going to knock you out of your place. You can't put into stone your exit strategy from a sports game. It's just not possible, because there's always people looking to take what you've got, to be better than you, to do what you can't do, and that's just the mantra of sports. It's what have you done for me now? It's not what have you done for me the past 8 years. What have you done for me even last week? It's what are you doing now? And we are seeing the results are very clear for Everton from Tim Howard that it's not good enough. And so if he's going to keep playing every single day, it probably isn't going to end up being at Everton for the next 3.5 years. It's just what it is.
Yeah, it is a strange one. I think I find it strange that he put himself in that position where he.
Yeah, whenever he said that, he was on top of the world.
Where
he was playing out of his mind. Last year he was really good. He had a couple of moments that were not great, and you got on to him, and I didn't necessarily buy into it a whole lot last year. I thought he still had enough to to be effective. Yes, he didn't have anybody in Robles at the time to push him along, but he wasn't hurting us last year. At least it didn't seem like that. And then the World Cup was amazing. He's standing on his head, saving every single thing that's very within reaching distance. And then this year, I don't know if it's burnout. I don't know if it's family life. I don't know if it's just age. I don't know if it's just nagging injuries from not getting rest to be able to recover from things. But something's different.
Listen, we've seen great players before who've had to end their career, and as I've said so many times, I don't like witnessing the decline of a player to the point where people start disliking that player, because
it's horrible.
Those players don't deserve that. And I've said this. I think Neville was the last one. Where
Philip.
Yeah, it wouldn't be his brother, because his brother knew exactly when to retire, but Neville didn't know when to give it up. Really, he and Moyes didn't know when to give him up, and sometimes and you don't. I mean, don't get me wrong. You don't expect a player to say, right, I'm done, because a big part of being a sportsman is your ego. So
yeah.
So there's not going to be a chance.
We love Landon.
Yep. Well,
did he retire too soon? We won't know, but he went out on top.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't want to sit here being like, bashing Tim Howard, but as you said, it's something's not right. He had his break, he come back, and he's just as bad.
Do I wish that he came back from his calf injury and has played every match since, like he did the Belgium game in the World Cup? Absolutely. I want Tim Howard to be the best option for Everton in the goal. It's just not the case, and it sucks. I hate it, but yeah. I can't make excuses. I can't turn a blind eye to it. It's right there every week in front of us that there's mistakes being made, and it's just not good enough.
There you go.
Happy days, Ped.
Let's not destroy him anymore. But listen, that Thursday night, let's get a win.
Yep.
Let's beat these convincingly. Let's be looking forward to the next round. And then Arsenal, let's go down there. Yeah. They're a decent team, but they do struggle, and they do over complicate things that don't need overcomplicating. And if we can play the way we'll play on the counter attack, and that'll suit us. So let's just see what happens.
Yep. And I imagine Aaron Lennon would really love to put one in against Arsenal.
Yeah.
I would like for him to open his account against Arsenal. That would be fine by me.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else? It's been so long that we've done a show, so I feel like there's so much stuff to talk about. Season ticket prices frozen for this year. We haven't said anything about that. From last year, no increase in ticket prices, so that's fair dues to Everton there. Big time increase in.
And they're on sale already.
Yeah, but increase in social media interaction with fans from the club is great to see. I love that. It's nice to feel like the club that you support has a personality, and so a social presence like that, because I can't get to Goodison every week, so it's nice to be able to feel like there's some sort of connection there other than me staring at a television screen once a week.
You want to be loved, Eric, don't you? You just want to be loved.
I do. I just want to love Tim Howard again.
Good luck with that.
All right. Sounds good. Everybody, thank you for tuning in. Sorry to bash on Tim Howard so much. It's just I don't know. If people feel like they need to pull my American citizenship because of my objective view on Tim Howard, then so be it.
Listen, Eric, they're not going to pull your citizenship because of Tim Howard. They're going to pull your citizenship because you don't believe in God.
well, and that might be another reason why I don't fit in Kansas, but I'm that's where I am, and that's where I live. All right, everybody, back to remodel in the bathroom. Thank you for listening. Talk to you later. Come on, you Blues, let's go.